ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ? ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. विषयेभ्यः परामुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातौ नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातौ चन्द्रशेखर भारती चन्द्रशेखर भारती चन्द्रशेखर भारती Shri Guru. First of all, I would like to thank Sheila Madam for this opportunity to present a thematic concert dedicated to Sri Shyama Shastri. Also, I would like to reverentially offer my namaskarams and gratefulness to Sangeet Kalacharya Padma Shri awardee Sri Naren Tyagarajan sir, who made a mention about me to Sheila Madam, and that is how this opportunity is happening. It was the earnest request of Naren Tyagarajan sir that I speak a few words about Shyama Shastri before I commence the concert. Shyama Shastri, as everybody knows, is the senior most among the Trinity. Now, the family has its roots in Kampam in Andhra Pradesh, but the family migrated to Tamil Nadu. And Shyama Shastri's grandfather happened to move to Tiruvayyaru with the Bangaru Kamakshi idol, and hence Shyama Shastri was born in Tiruvayyaru. So also Sadguru Shri Tyagaraja Swami as well as Muthuswami Dikshita. Kamakshi Paradevata is a very special form when considering the Shadmatas and the 6 forms of Upasana as established by Adi Shankara. The family of the ancestors of Shyama Shastri were rarely blessed that they were the Pradhana Sthanikams to do puja Kainkaryam to Bangaru Kamakshi, the golden idol of Kamakshi. Kamakshi is the very representation of Lalita Mahatma Sundari, as everyone knows. Even the iconography, if observed in the Sanctum Sanctorum, represents this Swarupa. Now, the uniqueness of the name itself as Kamakshi is Ka is Saraswati, Ma is Lakshmi. In Tamil, Ma Ramanan, Uma Ramanan is a very famous composition of Sri Papanasam Shiva, where he brings the similarities between Sivakeshava. Ma Ramanan is Vishnu, Uma Ramanan is Parameshwara. So the entire composition goes that way. So Kamakshi is the deity who with her glance can give you both Lakshmi and Saraswati, being herself as Paradevata. Now, the detailed upasanas and the tantric lore connected to the Ambal temple I am not going to divulge. There are many people who are aware about it, but it is not to be spoken on a public platform. So I will refrain myself from giving out the upasana details. But Kanchipuram itself is one of the Sapta Mokshapuri, and that's the only Ekaika Mokshapuri in Dakshina Bharata. Also corresponding to the Nabhisthanam of the universe. So Kanchi in Sanskrit also means the ornament worn around the waist. So that is how Kamakshi has got a very, very vital role in probably energizing the entire universe, and she holds the entire universe. Now Kamakshi idol is not the only one that we see. Inside the Garbhagriha, there is a Tapas Kamakshi who is meditating upon Lord Shiva Ekambareshwara with a Eka Padmasana. It's on one leg that she is standing. So we find two idols actually in the sanctorum of Kamakshi. But Bangaru Kamakshi was ordained to be given to this family of Shyama Shastri, and it was with them, of course, for various sentiments of invasions that happened also during that particular point of time. They moved to the Tanjavur belt, which was more safer for the reasons of the Maratha rule that prevailed there. Now coming back to Shyama Shastri, he was a brilliant child who was born earmarked for brilliance. That was known for parents, though he never received a lot of encouragement or he never hailed from a family of musicians. He was one such unique gem. Now, it so happened, just like in Tyagaraja's case, sage Narada came down, handed over Swararnava Tantram, Swararnava text to him to understand the intricacies of music. Chidambaram Yogi initiating Sri Muthuswami Dikshita not only into Srividya Upasana but into the intricacies of music. Here also we find a sannyasi coming from Banaras, coming down as Sangeeta Swami, and he has to halt at Tivayaru, reason being Chaturmasi, the 4 months duration where the saints don't move out on account of the rainy season, that if they set their foot they should not be harming an ant or any of the creatures on the earth. Now, Sangeeta Swami foresaw probably the brilliance that Shyama Shastri had. He was endowed with it, and he taught him the intricacies of music. While leaving from Tiruvayaru, after completing his Chaturmasya Vratam, he asked Shyama Shastri to be in touch and in good friendship with Pachingriyam Adi Appaya, the famed composer for Veeri Poni Varnam. So later on, Shyama Shastri gave his very first composition, Natajana Paripalini, in Sanskrit, not in Telugu. By that time, he was already conversant with Sanskrit, Tamil, and Telugu, though predominantly he chose Telugu as an expression of his devotion towards Kamakshi. We find around 3 compositions, 3 or 4 compositions in Tamil, and the remaining being in Sanskrit. The number is not huge. The accounted kritis that we have is around 68, to say so. People also combine what Subbaraya Shastri composed as well as Annaswamy Shastri composed. Now, we have spoken about the initiation of Shyama Shastri into music, but there is some uniqueness of Shyama Shastri that we have to at least make note of if we have to really appreciate Shyama Shastri. First is, his compositions are always in heavy ragas, Todi, Bhairavi, Kamboji, and you find a number of compositions in Faras, but you don't find a composition in Asaveri, for an example, that we don't have. Rare ragas like Kalagada, Chintamani, very famous Devi Grover in Chintamani, is his own creation. Now, he was a master at Laya, and there is no doubt about it. We can notice that in his Vilambakala Kritis, especially with the innovations of Vilamba Chapu as Viloma Chapu, as what we find, is a unique thing that he himself did. If we see Ninu Vinaga, Challi Ninu, these are a few and even Dhanyasi, Veena Rochana Prova, these are all compositions which come in Viloma Chapu. Till then, probably we never had compositions in Viloma Chapu. This was brought out by Shama Shastri. And the usage of parallels, poruttam, happens seamlessly in his compositions. So any amount of the artist trying to bring in more creativity, I don't find that there is necessarily a need, because it's already ingrained in the compositions with so much of musicality, so much of finesse and chaste sahityam. You are left with nothing, you just go with the raga bhavam, you know about it. There's nothing much to it. Now, if we take the emotion part in his composition, now it's a very intelligent way of using the phrase. I'll take an example. In Bhairavi, for example, Sari This is telling there is nobody equivalent to your mother. First. Ni Sari. The Ni moves directly from the Daivatam to the Nishadam with a higher amount of oscillation and firmness, saying that it is a statement. Whereas in the very next Sangati, Ambani Daya, or if we join Ambani Sari, the Nishadam, the Gamaka is reduced by a tone. You don't sing it with the same authoritative oscillation as you sing the very first statement. So this he has employed in O Jagadamba. In many of his compositions this can be seen. That is why there is a particular way to read his notation when we have the Yatra Jadu, or when you have to just hold the note straight. For example, the Swarajati that was rendered Bhairavi. He already gives definitive shades of Ma. One such example that I have taken, I am just scratching the surfaces of whatever compositions he has done. Now, the three Swarajatis are called as the three gems of Shama Shastra, and for a definitive reason as well, that they give the entire gamut of the raga lakshana which has to be used, whether it is for swara puskaram, whether it is for raga alapana, whether it is for nerval build-up also. It gives ample scope and definition as to how we need to proceed. Now when we take Bhairavi, starts directly at the Mandrasthai. So why, when you have so many Bhairavis where we Talayuni Brova Lalite Shri Prabreda, so many Bhairavis, so many Prayogas as how we start off a raga. Whereas in this Swarajati, he goes to the Mandrasthai, almost indicatively telling us to go to the Biladwara of Kanchi. That is the specific reason why he did not start. When he could do a Sariyavarama in Shadjam, he could have also started this Swarajati at Tarasthai Shadjam also. But he never did that, he went to the Mandrasthai. And as we say that he is a brilliant composer, these kritis of these trinities have stood a time, because not only were they great compositions that came to their mind, it was simply divinely ordained that they could compose such things. Otherwise, a composition standing for 300 years and more, even when you wake up anybody in the sleep who's initiated into music, ask them to sing, they will be able to sing. Whichever, maybe even a Tyagaraja Pancharatna also. How is it that we are able to do? Because the compositions have that element of divinity. This, as an example, I can show that in his Laya prowess, he used Tishtagati. Shankari Shankuru can be sung in Aditala Tishtagati. It can also be sung in Rupatala. But if you observe, Shankari Shankuru, you just take those words. They are actually Chaturashram engraved in the Tisram. Probably nobody did this innovation at his time, or even at Calcutta. Parvati Ninoni Nevaram Nidhi Shukapadi Bro. So a Chaturashram incorporated inside a Tisram. We never had compositions till then. This composition, these two compositions give an insight as to how he could explore without making huge announcements. So with this note, I would commence my presentation. I will start with the Kalyani Varnam. 3 Varnams to us are available. One being Vegada, other being Ananda Bhairavi, which is in praise of Lord Subramanian. The other one being this Kalyani, which is in praise of Bangaru Kamakshi.
Madani
Yeah.